Hello and welcome back to TechNuovo. My name's Steph and today we're taking a look at Nightingale, which has been recently released on Steam, and we're going to be taking a look at Nightingale on the Steam Deck, looking at the best settings so you can get the best quality and the best frames per second out of this game. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. So welcome to the world of Nightingale. As you can see, I am at the very beginning of this game in this small wooded area, but I have been playing around with the graphical settings in this area because I have read that this is probably the most demanding type of biome. So diving into the graphics settings here, you can see that the game has set it to Windows borderless. I am using the Steam Deck Oled on my dock, and I am using it through an external monitor, so that's probably why it's automatically set there, which has given me a 1280 by 720 resolution. But if you are playing it natively on your Steam Deck, you can look at 1280 by 800. I haven't enabled arachnophobia mode. I haven't enabled motion blur. I haven't enabled third person either because first person is a lot easier for me. I prefer first person games. I have put camera shake on, but that you don't really need it. Field of view at 90. Third person field of view at 70, but I haven't touched that. So scrolling down to the actual graphical settings, my Lumen GI is set at balanced. My anti-aliasing is at balanced. My effects are at quality. Foliage balance, post-processing balance, shading I've set to performance, and shadows again at performance. That's usually a default that I do like to turn down to performance because the detail's dark anyway. You don't need it to be super high quality. Textures at balance and view distance at performance as well. Vertical sync I've left switched off, although when I have been running around the world in this game in the past that I've played, it very much gives me an FPS of around 35 or mid 30s, so you could potentially run a vertical sync and then you could lock that frame rate off to 30 to give you a bit more of a consistent frame rate. Performance boost, you have got a choice: temporal, super resolution, or Intel XeSS. Intel XeSS tends to give me a lesser performance when it comes to frames, so I have stuck to temporal super resolution, and with that I have got that set to performance. But if you need that extra boost, then you have got ultra performance there as well. So running around the actual map, as you can see, at the moment I am hitting really the low 30s, pretty much at 30 FPS. I have seen it go a little bit higher if I've been outside of the forest area. Here maybe? Yeah, it starts to creep up to, as I say, those mid 30s. When you are in the thick of it in the forest, then you can expect it to dip down slightly. I will say, does this game look great on the Steam Deck? No. Is it playable? Yes. So you do get a playable experience, but do be mindful and aware that it's not the best looking game on the Steam Deck. To jump back into the settings, just to show you what the game gave me as its defaults when I first turned it on, was a performance quality preset, which, as you can see, puts everything onto performance, and then this to ultra performance. That's how it was as a system default. In terms of quality, doesn't look a huge amount different. You do tend to start noticing a little bit more detail in the foliage up close, but if you did keep everything at the ultimate performance mode, then as you can see, we are now hitting closer to that 40 FPS mark. But to be honest with you, it's not a great looking game on the Steam Deck anyway, because it does demand a little bit more than what the Steam Deck is really capable of. But if you are looking to get into playing Nightingale and the Steam Deck is your only option, then yes, it can be done. It can be played. And then for one last test, just to show you, I will set it to a quality preset on here and just show you how much the FPS can actually tank by if you are wanting to run a quality preset. So at the moment, as you can see in the top left hand side, we are hitting around the mid 20s, and probably by the time we get into the thick of this forest, we are going to be at the lower 20s. We're going to be at the lower end of the field here. So running around the actual desert biome, it's not too bad either. We are actually hitting a higher FPS limit than we were in that forest. So we are now currently at 58. We have seen 60 a small fraction of times, which has been pretty decent. At the graphic settings we are at, and just to remind you, jumping into those settings down to video, We have got the custom preset with the Lumen GI at balanced, anti-aliasing this time at quality, effects at balance, foliage at performance. But let's get that back to balanced, see if that makes much of a difference. Probably not here because there's not much foliage around. Shading at performance, shadows performance, textures at balanced, and view distance at performance as well, with the temporal super resolution at ultra performance. But if we get that to balanced, are we going to see... We see a... I mean, it's nice. It's nicer, of course. Oh, we need to stay in the shade by the looks of it while we're in the desert as well. Otherwise, it looks like we're going to overheat. I wonder... Let's push this a little bit further. Let's push this a little bit further because it's interesting to see that we have now got so much headroom to play with. Let's get my preset up to quality. So we are at quality. We've dipped, I don't know, 8 FPS, maybe up to 10 FPS. But we are running everything on a quality preset now. So that's all your shadows, all your shading, all your anti-aliasing, everything set at quality, which is pretty decent, to say the least. But of course, once you get back to that forest biome, sorry, you're going to have to turn everything down anyway. So keep everything as the settings again at the start of the video, and you can then start to have a more consistent experience without having to dive into your video settings every time you change biome. So one thing I did want to point out, because for some reason the desert biome just, I don't know, was an anomaly or something like that, because we were getting far crazier frames than we are getting now. We are now in what's known as the swamp biome, and we are back down to the mid-30s. So very similar to what we saw in the forest biome earlier in the video. We are now experiencing that kind of frame rate again. But playing throughout, as I say, playing throughout this game so far, the frame rate has stuck to that mid-30s, which has been, as I say, absolutely playable, but without the game looking fantastic. It's playable, but it doesn't look great. Let's put it that way. But if you did want to play Nightingale on the Steam Deck, then it is absolutely playable and will run semi-smoothly at mid-30s. As an FPS, unless you are in the middle of the desert when you could get closer to 60. It also seems to be that the frame rate does drop when you are in these grassy biome areas, possibly because it's just got so much to render on the screen at once that it's, I mean, in terms of the blades of grass, it's can't get much past those mid-30s frame rates, especially the graphics that we're running anyway, with the balanced preset, or mostly balanced presets. So thank you very much for checking out this video. If you did enjoy it, then please hit that like button, subscribe to keep up with our latest Steam Deck videos, and let us know in the comments down below if you're going to be picking up a copy of Nightingale for your Steam Deck, or if you found any other settings that have worked for you. Let us know in the comments down below. As I say, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.